Hey, Shalom, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahawah Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who teach and rule well in peace and salutations. All right, to the hopeful elect, pushing this gospel amongst the four winds with truth and sincerity. All right, to you I say Shalom. I'm going to open up with 2nd Ezra 7 and 57. It's the angel talking to Ezra. It says, "Then answered he me, and said, This is the condition of the battle, which man that is born upon the earth shall fight, that if he be overcome, he shall suffer as thou hast said. But if he get the victory, he shall receive the thing that I say." All right? This lesson is going to be going into that battle between our flesh and our spirit. And we know that our spirit is indeed willing, but the flesh is weak. It's weak as hell, as the scriptures say, right? So we ain't nothing about this thing called life was supposed to be easy, man. As men, we're supposed to suffer. That's how we grow. Spiritually, mentally, emotionally, every aspect you can think of. Right? Man was put here to suffer. Right? Because we're in this flesh. And we are under these curses, man. As Israelites, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Seminole, West Indians, and Haitians of the legendary bloodline. All right, God's chosen people that the Bible speaks of. All right. And so, Lord willing, this lesson's edifying. We're going to jump to Galatians. And hit this in the NLT. It's Galatians 5, and I'm going to start at 16. It says, "So I say, let the Holy Spirit guide your lives. Then you won't be doing what your sinful nature craves. The sinful nature wants to do evil, which is just the opposite of what the Spirit wants. And the Spirit gives us desires that are opposite of what the sinful nature wants, what the flesh wants. These two forces are constantly fighting against each other, so that you are not free to carry out your good intentions." Right. The conditions of the battle that we read of, or spoke of in 2nd Ezra 7 and 57. So the flesh is constantly lusting against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh. To see the flesh loves lazy. Right? Not spending our time wisely we're feeding the flesh. The flesh is going to entertain it as long as we allow it. Right? And feeding it and feeding into it and entertaining the flesh makes the fight, the spirit, makes the fight for our spirit more difficult in the long run. The longer we soak in the lust of the flesh, our spirit that's willing becomes weaker. Right? So we have to entertain the spiritual things. We have to constantly put ourselves in environments that's going to feed our spirit and mortify our members, as the scriptures say. Right? Killing that old man. Because this shit is serious, man. Let me get Romans 8. Starting at verse 5. It says, "For they that are after the flesh do mind the things of the flesh, but they that are after the Spirit, the things of the Spirit. For to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. Because the carnal mind is enmity against the Most High, Yahweh. For it is not subject to the law of Yahweh, neither indeed can be. So then they that are in the flesh cannot please the Most High." Simple. Right? Because without faith, it's impossible to please him. Along with that, hey, Lord willing, we are that number. Our faith is constantly feeding our spirit, right? We constantly feed our spirit through faith. And what did we just, bear with me, Akim. Let me see. Let me go back. Second Esdras 57 and 57 to bring it full circle. It says, then he answered me and said, this is the condition of the battle which man that is born upon the earth shall fight. That if he be overcome by what? The flesh, the lust thereof, he shall suffer, as thou hast said. Suffer what? Judgment, right? Death, being given over to our, our desires that the flesh wants. But if he gets the victory, right, that crown, he shall receive the thing that I say. And getting that victory, right, is conquering the flesh ultimately, as Yahweh Shai did, right? Lord willing, we endure unto the end. But every day is a victory that you're feeding the flesh more than your spirit. Salakius, that's Satan. Every day is a victory that you're feeding your spirit more than the flesh. On the days where you're productive, you got some things done. You fed the sheep, you gave the Lord his due, just doing your due diligence, man. Studying to show yourself approved, right? Giving alms. You know what I mean? Just being around brothers, sharpening brothers, giving counsel, receiving counsel, being humble, right? And you know what? It goes into these things. Galatians 5, we can keep reading. Galatians 5 and 18 in the NLT. But when you are directed by the Spirit, you are not under obligation to the law of Moses. When you follow the desires of your sinful nature, the results are very clear. Sexual immorality, impurity, lustful pleasures, idolatry, sorcery, hostility, quarreling, jealousy, outbursts of anger, self-ambition, dissension, and division, envy, drunkenness, wild parties, and other sins like these. Let me tell you again, as I have before, that anyone living that sort of life will not inherit the king of the Most High, the kingdom of Yahweh, right? Verse 22, but the Holy Spirit produces this kind of fruit in our lives: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. There is no law against these things. Those who belong to Yahweh Shai HaMashiach have nailed the passions and desires of their sinful nature to the cross and crucified them there. Since we are living by the Spirit, let us follow the Spirit's leading in every part of our lives. Let us not become conceited or provoke one another or be jealous of one another, right? Love our neighbors as ourselves, right? Lean on the Lord for counsel. Lean not on our own understanding. Seek wisdom. Let's get Sirach, what's that? Sirach 39. What are we at? Yeah, I mean, how are we spending our 24 hours, right? It's Sirach 39 and 1. But he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High and is occupied in the meditation thereof will seek out the wisdom of all the ancient and be occupied in prophecies, right? Occupied in what these scriptures are saying, prophecy, right? History, right? The things that are written are aforetime or for our learning, going into the accounts of the Old Testament, of our forefathers that with unwavering faith in different accounts, different examples, overcoming situations. Right? Being occupied in prophecies, man. This is Sirach 38 and 24. The wisdom of a learned man cometh by opportunity of leisure, and he that have little business shall become wise. Right? The wisdom of a learned man cometh by the opportunity of leisure. So the less things we're occupied in, right, it allows us opportunity to gain wisdom. Right? How are we spending our time? It's all about balance, doing everything decently and in order. But wisdom comes by opportunity of leisure, right? Spending our time wisely, man. And when we don't, that's idle mind is Satan's playground, man. That opportunity is ever present for him to throw us off, man. Right? Let me grab these last two. It's a Sirach 38 and 31, right? And this is basically going into, the potter, the smith, the carpenter, right? Basically giving themselves over to their work, putting their work first, right? Whatever craft, whatever trade they're in. And verse 31 says, all these trust to their hands, and everyone is wise in his work. Without these cannot a city be inhabited, and they shall not dwell where they will, nor go up and down. They shall not be sought for in public council, nor sit high in the congregation. They shall not sit on judges, Salakia. They shall not sit on the judge's seat, nor understand the sentence of judgment. They cannot declare justice and judgment, and they shall not be found where parables are spoken. Why? Because their opportunity of leisure, right? Their leisure is they spending their time in their work. They're not going to be found where parables are spoken. They don't have time, to understand that they let themselves understand the parables and the wisdom and the understanding of these scriptures, man. But verse 34, but they will maintain the state of the world, and all their desire is in the work of their craft. Hey, some folks is just put here, to maintain the state of the world. The different trades, the plumbers, the carpenters, the electricians, right? The lawyers, right? The firefighters. Everybody has their lot. And they don't get it wrong, man. It's who the Lord chooses. They're balancing that out. Yeah, they were given that lot, but they putting the Lord first. So you got to really take the scriptures with a grain of salt, right? Lord willing, we endure unto the end, because I know brothers that have outstanding careers, and the Lord is first, right? And the Lord is situating us depending on our lot and our talents given, man. So it's all about balance, right? Seek wisdom, right? Fuck this flesh, man. Feed the spirit. Right, so with that, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I want to give all praise, all honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Baha Rakha Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and peace and salutations to the hopeful elect. All right, keep enduring. Akim Kwam Yasharala and the Bible Ball. Shalom.